welcome to the Marsh Community AMA. I think we have some good news for you. I think everyone here are aware, but let's go ahead. Aaron, what do you have?
What we're going to start is that we're going to push out our register for interest pages on IXSwap. I think I spoke about this the last time we had the AMA. So what it's going to be is that we will be listing multiple deals from other platforms as well. Our users on the platform are welcome to come and register interest for those deals. If there is significant interest for those deals, we will approach our partners to onboard that deal onto the primary launchpad. And if it isn't, we would still provide some facility for you guys to actually invest through our partners into those deals as well. So beyond the register of interest page, we are also working on getting you guys an earn program. And this earn program is not going to be for a lending platform like Genesis. It's actually for one of the biggest market makers and liquidity providers in the world right now. I will share the name with you once we've signed off the contracts with them. We're currently going through KYC with them to get that completed. So we expect that to come up probably at the start of May right now. And probably about 1 to 2 weeks after that, we will be launching our bug bounty for the launchpad. So quick update on the launchpad right now. We are at the final stages of the launchpad right now. The blockchain component has been completed. The backend component has been completed. Now we're actually just touching up the front end of the application, and we are doing some bug tests. So once that's done, we'll actually release it out to you guys to actually test it out first to make sure that everything's squeaky clean before we actually launch it out to the public to avoid any sort of bugs or any issues when we launch it out. But those are really the major updates that we have. There are a couple of companies that we're looking at right now, but I'd also like to hear from the community as well. What kind of assets do they want to see listed on the IXSwap launchpad? We have debt assets, we have private equity assets, and we even have a chunk of shares of one of these major companies in Asia right now that has gone through late stage clinical trials for Alzheimer's therapy, which is pretty huge. This company is actually being covered by JP Morgan and quite a few of the other banks, but they're not tradable even in the banks right now. So we've gotten access to this, and we're going to be putting it up on IXSwap launchpad probably at the start of May once we launch the platform. But I'd really like to hear from the community. What kind of assets do people want to list? What kind of assets do you want us to go after as well? Maybe hand it back to you, Shar.
Well, no, that's super interesting. I guess a little more on the license would be good. So it will basically allow us to give retails access to private deals like through the launchpad. But what does it mean for the security token exchanges? Anything changing there as well?
Yeah, I mean, for most security token exchanges right now, like I mentioned, most retailers aren't even allowed on it, right? So what this enables us to do is that it actually enables us to actually package deals, even from other security token platforms that might be accredited investor only. We package them on our side, and we can get the retail investors to invest through us instead. So you guys will have the opportunity to even invest into accredited investor deals through us forming a vehicle to allow you guys to invest through.
And what about for the SaaS liquidity solution we have? Then we can start to push out that as well, because that would not having the license.
Exactly. So we've had a couple of partners right now that are quite in final stages. We've actually been discussing with them for quite a while. We will be looking at integrating us into their platforms relatively soon. Everything was pretty much just waiting on this license right now. So once our partners, well, some of them are away right now, but once they get back in town, we will continue those conversations.
So basically, this has been like a huge blocker for IXSwap being able to actually fully utilize the products that are built. So it's good to hear that this piece is finally in place.
Yeah, and I really think that this whole retail trading is really what's needed in the security token space. Right now, in most countries, like I said, it's only for accredited investors. But if you think about the technology itself and blockchain as a whole and why it was all started in the first place, it wasn't meant for the accredited investors. It wasn't meant for the millionaires, right? It was meant to give the power back to the man in the street, right? To be able to invest in any sort of deal in the market, to be able to fractionalize these deals to invest into. And Julian and I actually were speaking with Temasek this week. If you guys aren't familiar with who Temasek is, they're basically the investment arm for Singapore's government. And we were very vocal about it and about how blockchain, security tokens, all these things are actually meant for retailers, and they should actually push the government to enable companies to be able to offer this in the future. Right now, credit investors, they're mainly private banking clients, right? So they already have access to all these assets.
It doesn't really make a difference.
Exactly. So this has been really what we've been waiting for, and we're really excited to push this out.
Now we're kind of finally being able to use the proper blockchain technology that was kind of meant to be, and what we also envisioned ourselves to what IXSwap would be when we first started it. So that's really interesting. And pushing forward to the launchpad, I think we went through that. And did you have an estimate to when the bug bounty program would be pushed out?
Right now, we're looking probably at either the end of April or the first week of May. That's the timelines right now. We have had some additional firepower on the team lately. So hopefully that speeds up the development time for the launchpad.
Sounds good. Moving on, ambassador program. Do you have any updates on that?
Yeah. So this week, with the help of Gene, we've more or less finalized how we want to run the revamped, and really the main purpose of that was really to get the community involved in building IXSwap business together with us, right? I mean, we're not exactly a MNC and we're not a massive team, so we would like some support from the community if possible to help us out in some of the tasks that we might not have time to cover, but might be seen as important to you guys and to us as well. So that's really one of the major focuses for the ambassador program. There will be real monetary rewards for any sort of B2B connections that are made, and it's obviously based on successful deal closures. There is a significant monetary benefit to users that participate in the program with us. So right now we're actually going through like a beta phase of the ambassador program. So we'll probably run that for a couple of weeks, and once that's sort of stabilized.
So you kind of cut out where we're on the ambassador program, but if you can give us, so we understood that the beta was going to come up in a bit, and I think the ambassador program is really good because it enables us to allow people outside the team to work kind of to push the IXSwap idea, to let the masses in kind of different areas of the world let us kind of know who we are and stuff like that. And also it brings the voice from people outside the team pushing the IXSwap idea and what's kind of its products are and stuff like that. Because I think the idea kind of is different when it comes from another kind of lens, from another perspective, which I think is really important. So can you explain a bit? So the ambassador program has kind of two sides. It has the B2B where we're allowing we're allowing people to represent IXSwap and try to find deals, basically, and they'll be compensated for deals that they close. Then we have the B2C side, right, where people do tasks like making articles and stuff like that. Could you explain a bit more how those two sides work?
Yeah, sure. So for the B2C portion, there'll basically be two roles, right? Three roles: content creators, educators, and influencers. Each of the roles. So the IXSwap Ambassador Program will be set up slightly differently this time. There is actually going to be a significant amount of assessment that will be done on any ambassador that comes on board. We have set up all these assessments via Discord already, and we are actually be testing out this week. So the reason why we are a little bit stricter this time with the assessments on anyone that's joining the ambassador program is because I'm sure you guys have been around for a while, know that the last time we launched the ambassador program, it wasn't very well run. And I think someone actually posted a picture of a Toyota or Prius when it was supposed to be the CT1 Ferrari. that was pretty hilarious. But we don't want, we don't want things like that to happen again. So there will be a whole bunch of assessment, and we're going to be vetting through the ambassadors for IXSwap very carefully. So on the B2C side, there'll be content creators, people that will be able to create content for us, create images, create any sort of video content for IXSwap. This will get run through an approval process with the team. And if it is approved, then these influencers or content creators actually get paid for the work that they've done, right? So I think that's pretty similar to what we already see in the market today. But I think the big difference of what we're trying to do is on the B2B side for IXSwap. Um, what we're doing for the B2B side is we are trying to get the community involved, or people outside the core team more involved with the IXSwap operations right now. So and there will be significant monetary value to supporting the B2B sort of ambassador programs and the tasks that are included in there. And a large reason why we actually wanted to do this is because, I mean, we're not an MNC at the end of the day, right? We're still a pretty small team, but we want to cover a lot of things in the space, right? So we thought that the best way to do it was to actually get you guys involved with our team as well, teach you guys, give you guys some education on the platform, run you through how we would do B2B sales with other companies. And then you guys can actually represent us going out to different companies and trying to close, well, not close deals, but bring deals to us so we can close the deals for you. And then that's really what we're trying to do with the ambassador program. We're going to be releasing that in the next couple of weeks. I think we're running the beta test on the ambassador program this week already, and we'll probably run it for a couple more weeks before we launch it out to the general public.
No, it sounds really good to me. I'm looking forward to seeing this go out to the public. I think we kind of covered the general updates. We can move on to the questions. Awesome. Second question. When is revenue sharing staking going live? It's a core part of the token utility, so it's important to implement it ASAP.
So with the revenue share, what we've actually modeled for the token is actually the burning and the buybacks of the tokens, right? Which is effectively a rev share of the platform already. So for you guys that are not familiar with the platform, we have two different mechanisms from the revenue that we receive from the platform. One is, I think it's 10% of most of net revenue that we receive from any transactions will go to a burn vault, and 10% of that will go to a buyback vault. And I've actually started moving some tokens into those vaults already. I think we had a AI competition where someone I think the second person cheated or something. So we've actually moved, instead of giving those rewards out again, we've actually moved those IXS into a burn vault to benefit everyone in the community and not just one person, right? And in the future, I think going forward, what we'll actually try to do is to reduce the amount of emissions that are coming out of IXS, and encourage community burn events where the community could actually do tasks and the team would burn the tokens on behalf of the whole IXS community.
Question 3. Has the team considered an 80-20 balancer type LP pool? We are all hoping for a great moment of token value increase, and a 50-50 pool will have a lot of impairment loss.
Yeah, I mean, we've looked at all the models. I don't think that Balancer has a very good model, to be honest. What we are looking into more is single-side liquidity models, where the STO issuer can actually come to the platform, list a whole bunch of tokens, and they won't be worried about providing USD liquidity, because that's actually one of the major hurdles that we faced as a team, trying to get issuers to actually list in the platform. They always want to just provide the tokens, but they never want to provide the US dollar value, which doesn't quite work, right, in today's environment. So what we're really trying to do is to really develop single-side liquidity models, or perpetual models on the platform instead, which is a lot more efficient for liquidity.
Yeah, definitely. Question 4. I guess it says, does IXSwap use mass bank? I guess the question is just if we use a bank that's registered with the mass, and what kind of bank do we use?
We use a bank. MES doesn't have a bank. So MES in Singapore is the Monetary Authority of Singapore, and that is essentially the equivalent of the Fed in the US. So they don't really have a bank. But I can tell you that we are using a top tier bank right now, and it's not with any random institution. It's an Asian bank. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name. I should not, I think, in case I get in trouble with legal. But we are using a top tier bank, and they weren't affected by this whole meltdown in the US recently.
Yeah, better to keep it like that. There is no mention anywhere of the impairment loss insurance for IXS pairs. Was this scrapped?
No, actually, we've been trying to develop a better model for it lately. what can I say? We are essentially trying to outtrade the impermanent loss and use that as an insurance fund instead. That's I find is a lot more efficient. We've looked at some of the impermanent loss models that we initially intended to do. We've sort of gone back on that because we found that it was extremely inefficient. And I'm sure you guys have seen Bancor as well. Bancor has been went out pretty loud a couple of years ago with their impermanent loss protection, and that just kind of sank their whole exchange. The token got completely destroyed. So we are being very careful about this. And even if we provide this service at the end of the day, it won't rule out impermanent loss completely until the AMM models change significantly.
Yeah. Any plans for asset-backed art to hit the platform, like rare paintings from auctions?
So a lot of people have been wanting to tokenize art, but I have yet to see real demand for people that actually want to buy the pieces of art. The real demand that I've seen in the market for these pieces have only come from things like Picasso's or the Banksy painting, or I think there was a group that did the Warhols. But other than that, I've really seen a lack of demand for old school art pieces in the Web3 space. People seem to just prefer buying NFTs.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, so I mean, we were in conversations with a group out of Hong Kong that is part of all those auction houses and all that to tokenize a portfolio of art pieces. We were speaking to them at the end of last year, but we held off conversations with them after the whole FTX meltdown happened. But happy to revisit it if the community really thinks that there is going to be a significant demand for artwork, tokenized artwork.
Didn't Darren also speak with a group that did have like 5 Warhols or something? And
Yep, he's still speaking to them right now to see if we can get any of that over to IXSwap.
I've seen a lot of these art projects. I've even seen some project that had like, I don't know if it's true or not. I remember like getting like the decks from them, the pitch decks, when they were like funding their seed rounds. They had partnerships with like the Vaticans for some of their art to like tokenize it. But I haven't seen anything of that lately, so I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, art is very subjective, right? Um, it is. I find that a lot of the art pieces have worked well in the bigger institutions. My old clients used to collect art pieces, but they're like 60, 70 years old, and they actually like physical pieces of art and holding on to those pieces of art, right? So it's very different from buying a fractionalized piece of art where you can say that, hey, I only own 1/1000th of it, right? So I feel that it's very different in the Web3 space. But like I said, happy to bring more pieces, more tokenized art pieces onto the platform if there is significant demand, or if the community really wants it, we can take a vote on it, and we'd be happy to list something like that on the platform in the launchpad.
Yeah, definitely. When will the white labeling business linked to other STO platforms be launched? I think he means the SaaS liquidity solution.
I think we mentioned it earlier before. We are already in conversations with quite a few different people, quite a few different institutions already as it is. And I'm pretty sure you guys have heard from them at some point within our podcast. But we are already in deep conversations with a lot of these guys, and we're looking to kick it all off now that the retail license is in.
Any update on the FNFTs?
So the first part of the fractionalized NFT module has already been completed, but we have not seen the real demand in trying to launch something like this today in the current market. If you look across all the other fractionalized NFT platforms, they've all kind of gone a bit stale. Most of the other NFT projects I've also seen out there in the market have also almost gone to zero, right? Even the major projects like you're seeing for NFTs last year, you had the Doodles, you had was it Moonbirds? Moonbirds are now down to 3 ETH. I think they were up at like 25 ETH last year. So a lot of the value of these NFTs have dropped significantly. And we don't really see the value in doing it today. That said, if the market does pick up, we'd be happy to push that out. But we do still have the second module of the fractionalized NFT to develop. And that is really the buyback auction module that we have not developed yet. So the first part of the module that we've developed is basically just putting NFT into a smart contract, fractionalizing it, and dividing the assets into multiple ERC20 tokens. And you can defractionalize it as well if you hold 100% of those assets as well. So that we can already do today. But yeah, but like I said, that really depends on where the market is, and we will look to launch that once the market picks back up again.
Yeah, I feel even when the market picks up again, like personally, I'm not sure if that's gonna be like a good time, you know? I feel once there is like a million NFTs, that's all valued at over $1 million. Wait,
I think things are changing now in the market. I'm seeing real applications to NFTs being used now. Like in Singapore, there's a DAO in Singapore called Citadel. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this, but they've started they started creating NFTs out of title deeds, and they've been fractionalizing it to their communities. That is quite interesting. And we've spoken to another group out of Israel, and they have started using NFTs to start storing equity share contracts of their employees. And what they do is that they store all the data on the NFTs. It could be an ERC 1155 contract, and they have tokens accrued to that, right? So the contract is then divided, is then fractionalized, or or you have ERC20 tokens that are attached to it that can be traded as well. So I'm seeing like real world applications being put into NFTs right now, which is pretty interesting. I mean, it's not just fluffy like random PFPs anymore. So
yeah,
I think when that actually happens and you start seeing a lot of real assets being used as on the NFT market, I think that's really when we want to be launching our NFT platform.
no, that sounds really good. When you talked about the fractionalization of the employment equity programs, could they essentially use our FNFT platform to then fractionalize this and send like a private invite code to just allow the employees to buy fractions?
Yeah, I mean that is a possibility. That was actually the conversation that we had with this Israeli group not too long ago, and that was what they were interested in working with us for. It was both the issuance and using our fractionalized NFT platform.
Yeah, that would definitely be a good utility of it. Is Banexa going to be added anytime soon? So it's easier for those that want to trade on a decentralized exchange can easily acquire WIXS.
Yeah, I mean the Banksa integration could technically go at any time. But it's all about priorities right now, right? I mean, the development team is always at 100% capacity, and they're always working on something right now. And the main focus for them right now is really the launchpad. Perhaps after the launchpad is up, we can relook at the Banksa integration again.
Perfect. I think that's a wrap. Don't see any more questions. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in for this month's community AMA. We'll have the next one in a month. And we have another event actually next week with MSTO as well. So we'll schedule that. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Bye bye.
Great. Thanks, guys.